future with the team. Dez is scheduled to make $12.5 million against this season and count $16.5 million against the salary cap. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Dez over the past few months, so he took to Twitter to defend himself against the haters. I've really been enjoying my offseason. I never in my life heard so much media try to destroy a single soul, which is very sad. But what is so great is I'm so unbleeping bothered. Throw up the X. Stephen A., your reaction to what Dez posted there on Twitter?
I think Dez's statement is utterly ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. And I think that he needs to put on his big boy pants and man up. Nobody has anything against Dez Bryant. I think he's a good guy. The fact of the matter is he was an all-pro. He was a big-time receiver, widely considered one of the top 5 receivers in the game of football until a couple of years ago. And a couple of years ago, what we've seen is 796 yards and receptions, just 50 receptions in 2016. Last year, 69 receptions for 838 yards. He's lost a step. Can't seem to gain separation from cornerbacks the way that he once did. Once upon a time, he was open even when he wasn't open. That doesn't appear to be the case at this particular juncture in his career. Is he a scrub? Of course not. Can he ball? Absolutely. Can he still make plays? Of course he can. But he doesn't appear to be what he used to be. Why would you make the kind of statement where people are out to destroy you? I don't see anybody doing that. Dez Bryant has had a relatively checkered past. When have we talked about that? We talk about the X. We talk about him being a cowboy. We talk about him going through a bevy of injuries or what have you. Nobody gets personal. No one attacks him. Nobody attacks his character. A matter of fact, he's to be applauded because he's been so exemplary in his behavior as far as I'm concerned. Off the field, we've had no reason to talk about anything but his game. And last time I checked, he does not play in private. He plays in public. There's a whole bunch of people that's watching. And I just want to say this as an aside. Yesterday we touched on Martellus Bennett and his and what he said on the NFL Network about 90% of the NFL owners, players rather, being on weed. I lamented that. I decried that because I said, first of all, you know, that's not something that we know is accurate. Number two, you diamond out 90% of the players if indeed it is true, and why would you do that? And thirdly, and more importantly, with your brother going through what he's going through, why bring any kind of attention to yourself knowing that might get them to think about him? I did not dog him. I did not get personal. I didn't go off. I talked about his specific comments and how damaging it was. What does he do? He goes on Twitter, drops an F-bomb about me, talks about I'm hating all the time. Well, you know what? Guess you hate all the time too, Max, because we have to take sides every day. So somebody's upset with you every day. Somebody's upset with me every day. Sometimes somebody loves me every day. Somebody loves you every day. That's what comes with a debate show, which exists on every network in this business. But this man decides that he wants to come at me like that. And what did I do? I mean, listen, the bottom line is this. I could take it, so feel free, because I'm a grown man. I got alligator skin. It's all right. But the point is, all of this heightened sensitivity. These guys are acting like they play in the dark. You said something on national television. You, Dez Bryant, you play in front of the world. Us pointing out what we're seeing is not a crime, and it's not somebody trying to destroy your soul. It's somebody talking about what they see. When we talked about what we saw, it got you 70 million. You weren't complaining then. Don't complain now. Just go on the field and ball, and we won't have anything to say.
Some people aren't built for the scrutiny. You know, Dez Bryant was built for the football field, maybe not for the scrutiny that comes along with his level of fame. Now, it's interesting because he's a passionate guy and a passionate player, and I used to defend him, as you would say, Stephen A., religiously on Sports Nation, for example. When he was criticized, I thought, what, people are criticizing this guy? All he's doing is cheering on teammates and passionate about winning and like, I don't understand. I found a lot of it bizarre, the way people would come down on Dez, and I defended him. Marcellus Wiley, my old radio partner and Sports Nation partner as well, used to say, let me make sure I get this right, when personality trumps production, then you have a problem. And back then, Dez had a passionate personality, but his production made people say, okay, like, whatever, be passionate. And even then, it's hard for these players. Like, you look at Odell Beckham Jr., you imagine he lives his life passionately and wants to be a young person and enjoy his life and also be a great football player. And those things are linked because that's the way he takes that passion out onto the field, right? And yet he's constantly criticized for it and really can't answer back or he'll be called a diva. So, and he is holding it together, it seems like, just barely at times, right? Like with spit and bubble gum, trying to be like, I got all this pressure on me and all that stuff. But what's going to happen when Odell's not good anymore? Years in the future, how is he going to react then? Well, that's what we're seeing from Dez Bryant right now, I think, Stephen A. He has the same passion and the same personality, but now the production is such that people are critical of his actual play also, and it hurts him. How is he going to respond? Can he keep it together? And that's what we're watching.
Max, in 2014, Dez Bryant had 88 receptions for 1,320 yards. And they connected on 64% of the time they tried to with him. Since then, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season. And again, 43% of the times they tried to connect with him, they did. Another time was 52%. Another time was 52%. The numbers are dwindling. And if you speak to guys in the NFL and guys who are pundits of the NFL, including some former Cowboys and beyond, they will tell you Dez Bryant seems to have lost a step, doesn't get open the way that he used to. He can still ball, but they question whether or not he's worth 12 to 14 million. That's the reality. Yeah.
Real quick, the old Jay-Z line from The Takeover about Nas went from top 5 to not mentioned at all. Well, that's Dez Bryant, except, hey, Dez, you're still mentioned. Be happy about that. The problem is not when they're mentioning you, but you're not top 5 anymore. The problem is they're not even thinking about you anymore. At least they're still thinking about you, Dez.
Yeah, he's got one voice to worry about today, and that would be Jerry Jones, which is understandable. Obviously, contract discussions on the line. We'll leave it there. Coming up, gentlemen, Kevin Durant doesn't have Steph Curry to lean on heading into the playoffs, but one person at the desk says it's not all on him. Plus, James Harden needs to make up for his epic collapse in last year's conference semifinals. Does he have to win it all to avoid being known as a failure forever? Keep it locked.